Okie dokie then. Alright. I mean, at least it didn't blow up any of the machines, but still. What a pain in the rear. So, Creeper, you have made me grumpy. Greetings, everyone. My name is Variable, and welcome back to Minecraft Exploring Embers. So, as you can see, straight off the bat, except for the horrendous little bit of cobblestone at the top here, I've actually redecorated the blacksmith. I've extended the stone slabs all the way through. And so now we have the ashen tiles, the archaic bricks, and the archaic edge. Now, since this uses Ember in order to make it, it was basically the fact that I just harvested those little, well-generated golem spawner things. Which is why I'm missing like 6 bricks. Anyway, so I've made this a little bit nicer. It just looks a bit prettier. I did a lot of mining, which I haven't smelted any of the ores, because today we're going to try and get the melter to work. And in saying that, I also did a... What else did I do? Oh, I made a water elevator. If you just jump down here, it's just your old school ladder and water. There's probably a quicker way to do it, but that's what I used to use this back in beta, so. So I dug a really long tunnel. That way's the wrong way. It's just, it ends. But I dug a really long tunnel, if I can actually get into it, that takes us all the way to the Ember chunk. So I found out from a really helpful person on Reddit, on the internet, someone helped me, that actually said that they showed me the changelog for embers, and now it turns out that the ember within a chunk fluctuates, but it's not a finite amount in a single chunk, rather that it sort of disperses like Aura does in Thorncraft. So I've been leaving this going. I've occasionally chucked in coal when I found some, and now we have ember shards and ember crystals, which is really, really awesome, because it means that we can actually start getting on with some stuff. I just expanded this bit out a little bit. I just cut a bit more out the top so that it's nice, and harvested the rest of the stuff that was here. So I'm going to head back up to the blacksmith house, and I'll see you in a sec. Alright, so now that we're back here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this melter, because I was halfway there. The ember receptor is on the right sort of way. I did some testing in creative. The ember receptor is on the way, however, I do need an ember emitter, which is the one that sends out the ember, which needs to be on top of the ember activator. Go figure. So I need to just quickly make one of these. So I just need some Camonite, some copper, and a couple of iron. No, that's good. Cool. And what we do need is the Tinker's Hammer, because what this does is it allows me to basically bind the two together. So I'm going to move the melter outside, just because at some point I really want to extend this blacksmith thing. Oh, that was the other thing I forgot. I built a wall around the village. So let's get the melter. Now there is something that I need to... There's a couple of things that I need to get, which will become clear very soon. So the melter melts the ore, which is pretty straightforward. I mean, you'd expect that. So shift right click, and then normal right click on here to transfer them. Now I don't know if it goes through blocks. There's a good way to find out. Let's find an ember gauge, which is compass, paper. I don't have paper because I don't have sugar canes. This is problematic. Alright, we can do without it for the moment. Okay, let me just try and break this, see if this makes it work. No? Now they're on the other side. So one thing that I do need is fluid pipes, which is mechanical pumps in this version. So mechanical pumps require iron pipe, which is just iron, iron, iron. Gives me iron plate, iron pipe, and then I just need the mechanical pump, which is redstone and another camonite plate. I picked up a lot of redstone. It was surprising how much redstone I ended up with. Okay, this is going to move the molten liquid. Now, sorry, I'm a little sick. Now, in order to actually get anywhere with it, so machinations of fire, I need a stamper. To shape molten metal into useful forms, you have devised the stamper. To stamp molten metal requires 2 parts, the stamper itself and the stamper base. Place the stamper 2 blocks above the stamper base. Give it ember as well as a particular stamp. Okay, so there's 3 parts that I need for this one. So the first bit is the stamp base. Okay, is a little bit of iron and a little bit of cammonite. And the actual stamper is a block of iron, a bit of cammonite, and a copper. And I'll also need this thing called a bin. Now the bin isn't like a extra utilities bin, which throws your stuff out. This is talking about a resource bin, where you just dump stuff in. So it's not to throw it out. This is the, like a hopper, but not quite. It's more the Embers version of the hopper that each machine can interact with. So I need to make those 3 items, and conveniently they're all lined up. I will also need item pipe and an item pump. So that's a bunch of lead. So what I can do for the moment, because I'm still limited on my lead, what I'll do is I'll aim to get these parts done first without the item pumps, so that I can get a little bit of lead output. So I'm just going to quickly make those 3 things. Alright, so now I've got everything I need, including the bin, though I won't be using the bin just yet because otherwise it stores the item and I can't get it out. So, what I need is the stamp base, right here. And what I'm going to do is I've got the there, so I'm just going to stick a crafting table there. I'm going to stick the stamper on top of it. Beautiful. Now I do know the stamper does need to be powered with Ember, so I'm going to stick an Ember receptor there. And then the mechanical pump is going to pump straight out from here with a lever. And the iron pipe will push it straight into there. And that's how I'll get my stuff put into there. I can't remember if I need a lever on the stamper. But the melter... So I've got some iron ore. Oh yeah, that's it. I also made a bar stamp, so that's going to stamp this into bars. So I'm going to put the iron ore in here. I think I'm forgetting something. Oh, I know what it is. The Ember emitter requires a redstone signal in order to activate. So what I'll do is... Oh, wrong box. I'll just grab all of it. I will stick a piece of cobblestone and a stick. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. And... Okay, bricks. I'm just going to fill this back up because it seems to be able to go through walls, which is fantastic. Cool. So now this is getting powered with the Ember, which... It's still being powered. No, be quiet. I'm trying to make a video here. So now that that's getting powered by Ember, has that put any malted liquid in yet? Because that's powered... I don't know if the melter needs a redstone signal. Oh, when the melter's bottom block is provided with Ember. Well, I just wasted a bit of Ember with that one because I put the receptor on the thing. So let's put this right there. Shift right click. Now I have to go all the way back around. Normal right click. There's that. And it's collecting. Oh. He was there and now he's not there. Where did he go? And there's a zombie die. Yay! So there's the molten metal, which is really cool. Now the only other thing is that the other... I love how it's just coming out of the top brick. That's really cool. The Ember emitter also needs to give some to this receptor. So I wonder if there's a way to split it. Because there's a thing called a beam splitter, but I don't know if that's what I want. Nope, why were you going, Debbie? Here we go. So using the new Dawnstone alloy, which I don't have yet, you have discovered a way to divide Ember bursts. The beam splitter has 4 faces, 2 with a smaller copper port and 2 with larger copper and Dawnstone ports. Each of the larger ports will function as its own Ember emitter. Okay, so that's what I need, but I don't have that yet. So what I essentially want then... Oh, look at that. Look at these effects. That's so cool. So what I will do is I'm just going to break this block. And... Whoops. Shift right click on this. And then right click on that. And I'm just going to feed a little bit of Ember into this receptor manually. And then we'll get to see the stamper go, da-donk, like that. That was good timing. And now, I'm only getting one at a time. It's only stamping one at a time. But I am actually getting doubled ores. Because if I do this, oops, wrong button. If I do this, the stamping recipe is 144, and I get 288. So it is ore doubling. Now, see how they're just popping out? Thank you. That's where the bin comes into play. So what happens is the bin will sit underneath the stamper and automatically pick up the iron ingots. And then I use the bin in order to feed it to a chest. So what I'm going to do is aim to get that lead ore done. Because the lead ore, once I have enough of it, then I can... wherever it is. Cool. It means that I can actually make the item pipes that I require. Whereas with only 12 iron, I would use 12 lead. I would literally use almost all of my lead just making pipes. And I don't want that because lead is kind of hard to come by. I think it spawns at really low levels. So it's just a matter of trying to get the lead. Are you out of Ember already? Far out. Wow, I didn't make a lot, but I mean, I've got a bit of Ember, but I was hoping that I'd have a little bit more out of it. Alright, so let's see if there's a way to increase the amount of Ember. So the mixer centrifuge allows me to mix metals, which is very cool. But the actual thing that I want is metallurgic constructs. Here we go. So under the main tab for natural energy, we have the Ember activator. That's what I'm currently using. But the Pressure Refinery allows me to get a 1.5 times yield of Ember. It requires both water and Ember to be pumped into it, resulting in a default 1.5 times yield from the activator. However, if placed on a metal block with lava or fire around it, it can reach up to 3 times yield depending on how many hot blocks there are in the base. So, this is where it gets cool, because luckily for me, I start off with a little bit of lava in the blacksmith. Now, because I have enough iron, what I'll do is I'll just make another iron block, and then I need to make a Pressure Refinery. Yeah, Pressure Refinery. Why do they always go dirty? So, Pressure Refinery is right here, and that requires a copper block, copper ingot, and a furnace. So, let's just quickly make that. So now that I have the Pressure Refinery, I'm going to plonk that right here, and that allows me to start getting more Ember, depending on the thing. So what I want to do is put this block of iron there, and then 1 and 2. I'm going to go pick up those, after I make a bucket, I'm going to pick up those little bits of lava, and I'm going to put them around the actual iron block so that we can get a little bit more. I don't know what the actual percentage will be. Maybe it might be 1.8 or something, but anything more than 1 is an increase, which is very cool. It also means that I can... Oh, I just wasted 2 blocks. It means that I can get rid of these bits, and now I have to fill in with ashen tile. Do I have ashen tile? I have 12. So what I'll do is I'll just stick a couple of stone slabs over the top so that I don't have to worry about accidentally setting everything on fire. That's going to block a couple of quartz. That should be okay. Should. So I just need to go around back to the Ember activator. Steal its hopper. I'll essentially need an infinite water source, but I'm just wondering... how am I actually going to pump that water into the activator? So let's just get a little bit of water in here. Alright, so from what I can see, there's a way to create something called a reservoir, which allows me to store a huge amount of water. Or I can use something, so the reservoir is here, and it's a 3x3 structure. Or instead, I can use a fluid vessel. that should hold a fair amount of liquid. So I'm going to see which one's easier to make. So fluid vessel is... So let's just get rid of this. Fluid vessel. A fluid vessel is a couple of iron plates, caminite blocks, and iron ingots. Whereas if I go for the reservoir... Oops, that's a refinery. The reservoir is caminite, it just needs a fluid vessel as well. So I'm going to aim to get the fluid vessel. So I need 2 of those. I'm going to need some more caminite. And now that I have the caminite, I keep doing that. I should be able to make the fluid vessel. Now the cool thing is, and the annoying thing is, I couldn't find any way to pump water directly from this into that. So what I'm going to have to do is basically fill up the fluid vessel with water manually by going 100 times, and then by going that way I should at least be able to get some water in there relatively easily, but it just requires that I get myself another pipe. So iron pipe requires another caminite and redstone. So I'm going to get... So the problem is I've run out of clay, so I'm going to have to go get some clay. I'll also see if I can find some sugar cane, and then I'll be right back. Alrighty, so now I have plenty of clay, and I've got a few sugar canes, which is really good because it's a starting point to actually start getting somewhere. So the only problem is, I've realized that there's a creeper outside here. I don't know if I can see him from the windows, but I know he's out there because I saw him. That's, you know, the perks of leaving halfway through and having to come back. So I just need 4 more caminite to have a nice number. Cool. And then, so what I'll do is I'm going to get this caminite done. I'm going to go out and kill the creeper, and then I'll be back in a sec. Okie dokie then. Alright. I mean, at least it didn't blow up any of the machines, but still. What a pain in the rear. So, creeper, you have made me grumpy. That was never a good idea. I mean, it's not the worst that could have happened, but... Now I have this ugly hole in my... right next door. It's right next to my house. It's so ugly. Oh well. It could be worse. So, what I'm going to do is I'll just plant this sugar cane here, here. And now, it's probably not going to be instant. I still have to wait for it to grow. But I will have paper very soon, I hope. So now that I have a little bit more caminite... what was I making? I was trying to make a mechanical pipe, which requires that in a plate form. Which is not like that. Mechanical pipe. Ah, you fool! Yeah, well. I've got item pipe. It's just a good thing that I put down that piece of pipe over here first. Otherwise I would have predicaments. And predicaments are not good. They make life hard. So, let's chuck that there, that there, and go, yes, okay. And then done. Alright, so now that that's full, and it's probably pumped out as much as it can, now I can put some ember stuff in here and actually get the ember to start producing, which is going to be really cool, because it's, I mean, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be far from perfect, but at least it's a little bit more efficient than just a straight, you put in ember, you get 1 times the amount of ember. There it is. So there's my crystals. So I do have some crystals as well. So I'm just going to grab 16, and then I'm going to chuck that in there, and then the emitter can go up there. Beautiful. That's very cool. Okay, so do I still have... I've got 12 lead in here still. So what I'll do is... Cool. So that should get it... Ah, it requires a redstone signal. I was wondering why it wasn't working. Beautiful. That's so cool. Alright, so now that I've got that going, what I'll do is I'm going to put this bin down. Am I? Item pump. which is 2 item pipes. So it's just Caminite, and I thought I had enough for that. Let's go have a look. Let's see. I thought I had a couple of item pipes. I have 5. Oh, fantastic. So I don't actually even need it. So let's go item pipe. I'm missing a Caminite plate. I thought I had one. I had 2, that's right, and then I accidentally shift-clicked them. Of course I did. Alright, so I actually did read you can use embers to power furnaces too, which is very cool in its own little right, but it's not something that I'm going to aim to achieve just yet. So that's that, and now, oh, all the lead's here. Cool. So I'm going to put the bin down here. I will put the item pump there with a lever underneath it. And you know what? I'm actually going to put a stone slab over it to hide the ugliness. And then I just need a standard item pipe. And then I'm going to stick a chest over the top of it. So, is it all done? Oh, it's all done. Alright, let's stick a little bit of iron ore into it. So it should be melting the iron. I hope. Yep. Have I got enough ember on the stamper? I do. That's so cool. And if I check the chest, so now I actually have a way to double my ores, which is really, really awesome, because ore doubling is always one of the main things mods go for, because of the fact that a 1-to-1 ratio for iron ore or gold ore or whatever you use is a real pain in the neck, and it's like a vanilla mechanic that everyone tries to move past. But it just makes resource collecting so more efficient. So I'm really glad I've got this set up. I've got essentially water, improving the efficiency of my pressure refinery, my ember output. I've got the melter melting it down. I've got the stamper stamping it, and to the point where I can make plates after as well. Plate stamp. That only requires 1 metal in order to make 1 plate, rather than 4 metals to make 1 plate. So it's very, very efficient. I just need to make myself a plate stamp first. So I'm going to do that in the interim. But I'm so happy. We've got ore doubling. So thank you guys for watching. You guys are awesome. I am awesome. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.